So we're at Emerce eDay. I'm excited to talk to Halvor Vislie, the CEO of the Future Group. My first question is actually, how was the speakers dinner yesterday?
It was awesome. I always enjoy getting, getting to know the other speakers. See where our worlds align, and it was a good crowd. I mean, really, really interesting, speakers from a, presumably from a bunch of different industry, but there's so much we have in common.
What do you have in common?
So, a lot of the speakers here are, whether it's from advertising or whether it's from, social media or in my case from sort of the live media production industry, a lot of it is about the same thing. It's about entertaining the audience and grabbing onto their attention and keeping that attention in the best possible way. So we have, we had lots to talk about and really enjoyed it.
What is your perspective on entertaining audiences?
Well, it's changing really, really fast. The way we've been doing things in the traditional broadcast industry, we make something that we think the audience will like, and then we put it on TV and ask people to sit down at a specific time, at a specific date, and look at the kids. They don't watch television. They'll watch things like, American Idol or do things, but they're not watching it on television. They're watching it on a number of different platforms and at their own time. And, their own, they want to be in control. And I think this is one of the big changes. The other big change is obviously, how we collect data. And I'm not talking about, the number of people watching, but, who are they? What are their interests? How do you leverage that? How do you make sure that, when you invest heavily into content, that you get the money back from your sponsors? So those are all things that are, I think, highly relevant for our industry.
So people want to watch whenever they want to watch, data collection. Can you give one example of a client or project that you've worked on?
Yeah, the first project we did was a game show that we did together with Fremantle Media called Lost in Time. And it's a couple of years ago now, but I think it's still relevant because what we tried to do there was to combine the televised experience with something very personal and the ability for the audience at home to engage directly in the experience, immersing themselves into the same type of environment, which was like really well-made, photorealistic time eras, essentially, where you could travel to those time eras and compete against the other players at home, but also against the contestants in the studio. And what that did was drive, the audience to actually do something and not just sit there passively, drinking soda and eating potato chips, but they were actually participating.
They're participating, and how does that work practically?
So essentially this was a game. It was a mobile game that they downloaded to their phones, and they were able to play along in what we call live mode, which was essentially, as soon as the experience started on television, you sort of locked into that and you did the same challenges on your phone that you would do otherwise. And outside of the broadcast, and this is really important because content is hugely expensive. And so why are we limiting ourselves to 1 hour of broadcast every week? What we made possible was the ability to keep that content alive throughout the week through the app. So people were engaged not only in that 1 hour, but the remaining 167 hours during the week. The content was available to them.
And what example do you have around data collection that you've been working on?
So again, I mean, what we did for Lost in Time is cool because, all of a sudden we knew, a little bit more about who were engaging with us. We would ask the audience, the interactive audience, some questions. We would, for instance, say, do you like red or blue? To divide them into teams. We would say, another week would say, are you single or are you in a relationship? Again, dividing them into teams. And if you collect all of these data, you start to build a data set. We don't really have to do that though, because the information available on you online, on what your preferences are and all the cookies that exist of what you like to do, they're already there. So the question is really, how do you leverage that data to present you with something that's truly unique and that we know that you will enjoy? And that could be personalized content. It could also be personalized advertising, so that we know that that particular car that we're showing you is something that you will like.
And what have you seen gone wrong in terms of personalization? What has been the lesson?
Oh, well, we haven't gone very far down the personalization track yet. I think this is all things to come. I think there's a bunch of different examples from the online world where personalization goes wrong. I think anyone's Facebook feed will do that. You know, for me, I'm a fairly skinny guy. I get, you know, in the beginning I kept getting commercials for liposuction. You know, it's the last thing I need. But you know, these things are, and the algorithms controlling this are always developing, which is in a sense good. In a sense it's kind of scary as well, right? So we need to be aware of what this personalization means, of the importance of protecting people's data, of the importance of having you in control of that data so that you can opt in or opt out as you choose, which, you know, GDPR is a great thing to do.
Thank you very much. And my last question, what's your main message or last message to the Dutch audience as the CEO of the Future Group?
So, you know, Holland and the Netherlands are really good at media production. You know, you are sort of in the lead in European terms of bringing out new content. You have some really good companies that are exploring this. Just keep on doing what you're doing. You know, have an open mind. Look at new technologies. Look at new ways of doing things. But essentially, keep on doing what you're already doing because you're doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.